Welcome back everybody to a JOSBSN video on Jacko the Soccer Bro on YouTube. This is the final for the Sandy Nanners as they face off up against Team Malik here. And don't worry about what's going on now, that's just to decide who serves the ball first. And this is a double elimination bracket. The first half of this tournament was uploaded on this last Wednesday, I do believe. And Team Malik has already lost, so all the Sandy Nanners need to do in this one is win 2 games. That's all they need to do, win 2 games in a series, and they are the winners here. The first point is up, and it's going to fall to Malik's team there. The ball being set up perfectly for Adam to hit it down into the sand. And we are away in this one. These games, contrary to the first couple in the tournament, are going to be played up until 21. So we have a lot of volleyball to get through today. Serve is up and underway over to Gavin. Once again, Gavin does well to get underneath it. Jack slaps it high off the net, and Max sends it to the opposite side, but it's going to be just out of bounds. And it's a 2-0 lead for the Malik team. This Malik team lost in the very first round of the double elimination part of things, so they've been playing on the back foot for the entirety of the tournament after that, but they've done well to make it here so far, sending the Eber team home after the Sandy Nanners dispatched them 2-0 to give them their first loss. Serve goes through Ella's hands there, and similarly to the way the very first set of the tournament started, the Sandy Nanners are looking quite stagnant early on. Not a lot of energy out on the court, but at this point in time there has been a lot of volleyball played. Gavin once again has to backtrack to get there and just doesn't get a good enough touch, and all of a sudden it is 0-4. But in the game up until 21, a 4-point run. It does make a difference, but it is not the end of the world one way or another. A short serve. Jack goes to Jada, Jada goes back to Jack, and Jack gets a goofy little touch on it, but the point will land regardless for the Nanners. Doesn't matter how it happens. As Caleb gets his first chance to serve in the finals in the Sandy Nanner uniform. Let's see what his usual jump serve looks like from this side of things. No, he goes for the sky ball. He gets so much spin on that thing, it's hard to get around. Somebody hit net there. I can't tell who it was from my point of view here. Max gets a block there. Goes over to Caleb. Max just sends it straight over into. Malik goes far with it, and it's going to be just barely out of bounds. You can hardly see the line there, I know, but it was indeed out of bounds. And that halves the lead that the Malik team once held over the Sandy Nanners, and Caleb is up to serve once again here. I suppose we can meet the squad right now, just in case you aren't too familiar with them. Caleb is serving, Ella is in the back middle, Gavin in the back left, Jack in the front left, Jada in the front middle position, and then that's Max over on the front right as the second server. Jack manages to get that over, Adam hits it with some pace, and Jack just simply is not able to adjust to get there with the left hand to send it over, and the point goes back to the Malik team here with AO up to serve for that squad. It is a very windy night here today that I know you can hear through the camera. Jack gets a left-handed touch on that one, and the block just doesn't fall for him. Jada has time in the middle to get to it. Does. Jack sends it over. And that point will fall, and not a very aggressive kill from him, but it picked out a good spot in the sand to land a point here as Max is up to serve. Going safe with the underhand, and with that wind, an underhand serve like that will just die and fall a lot shorter than the other team expects, but that point will just sneak past Jada to make it a double or nothing game once again at 3-6 here. Ella gets a good set of hands to that one, up to Gavin, and Gavin goes far with it. Adam is more than equal to it. Malik now with a chance, and it goes just through the block of Jack, and Gavin's gonna find an attempt that goes just out of bounds. And it is a 4-point lead once again for Team Malik here early on in this one. Now this Malik team needs to beat the Sandy Nanners in 2 games, whereas the Nanners only need to beat the Malik team in 1, as Gavin lets that one fall into the net. Not too sure what the debate on the court about is between Jack and Gavin is there, but regardless, the point will go to Malik team, and it's a 5-point lead now in this one here. Despite the wind, Caleb is playing in quite an aggressive spot in the middle here. Serve gets its way over to Max. Max as well to get there, sending it straight over. Battle at the net. Porter wins it, but Gavin is more than equal to the second attempt. The block from Jack is just short. Caleb finds a good spot in the sand, and Porter just was not able to recover. And the Sandy Nanners once again have half the points of the Malik team here. After that 4-0 deficit to start the game, has basically leveled out here as Jada is up to serve. Their nice high underhand balls will be tough to deal with in this one, as that one's going to fall into the underside of the net and give Jada another chance to serve here early on in this matchup. And we have got a lot of volleyball ahead of us here. Another nice high serve that Malik is equal to there. It goes right back to him, and Jack blocks that one down. Is still alive here. Malik does well to get a second touch to it. Gavin sends it over shallow. It's hit up, and it gets left alone between the Sandy Nanners there. 3 of them between Jack, Max, and Gavin all just let that thing fall into the sand there. 5-9 now as Porter sends it over to Max. Goes up to Jack. Jack goes for Gavin, but it's going to hit the net and just roll along on it and not go over to the other side of the court. And the Malik team once again has double the points of the Sandy Nanners. They can't seem to escape that right now. Gavin gets the block at the net, though, and that's a big point for the Nanners there that they needed. 6-10 being the score in this one, and Jack gets his first chance to serve in this. It's not his first chance to serve today, but it's his first chance in this game here. 6-10 being the score now. It's going to hit the net. 6-11. 4 and 5 points is the gap that the Sandy Nanners just can't seem to get closer to. Serve is up here. Good hard serve. Jada does well to get to it, and Caleb sends it up, and Gavin and Ella can't work it out up at the net, and it is 6-12. Once again, double points for Team Malik here in game 1. Jada once again doing well to get underneath that ball. Ella goes up for Gavin, and Gavin's going to send that thing over and win a good point for the Nanners here. Let's see what Gavin can do with his batch of serves here in this one. 7-12 being the score now. He's going to hit into the net in the exact same manner that Jack hit his into the net. And it's a 6-point difference here with 8 points to go up until the Malik team find the 21-point margin. Serve goes high, flying over to Jada, and then it goes back to Jada once again. Max has to play at the net. He doesn't. This time he does, and he kills it down. Well, a hit by Max there. A busy play on that left-hand side between Jada getting those 2 touches, and then Max there getting the last one needed. And Ella gets what I think is her second serves in the entirety of the tournament for the Nanners here. Finding a deep spot in the back row there, and Porter's hit is going to be out of bounds. Ella gets another chance here to try to bring the game back within a winnable margin for the Sandy Nanners here. Serve is up and in a similar spot before, just not quite as much power behind it. Max tries to set up Caleb, but Caleb just has to do whatever he can to hit it over, but he does well finding that back corner of the court, and that ball's gone. 10-13 now. It is a 3-point game. Ella and the Sandy Nanners have brought it back a little bit here. Tying the game up at this stage of the game would be huge if they can do that. Another high serve, this time over to the left side of the court, and Malik's touch just is not good enough to send it back over to a teammate. Let Ella cook at this point. She is doing wonders behind that serving strike for the Nanners right now. This time goes into the middle once again here. And Max has a chance to block, doesn't do so. AO finds a good spot there, almost caught him Porter. And another point will fall for the Sandy Nanners as the Malik team just is not able to hit it over the net here. And all of a sudden, the Nanners have brought it back. We've got a game on our hands here, despite the fact that they were down 6 points just a few points ago. And it's tied up. Ella picking out a great spot there that Porter just wasn't able to get to quick enough. And we are tied at 13 apiece here. Ella once again sending this one. AO gets a touch on it, but it sends it away from any of his teammates. And all of a sudden, the lead is with the Sandy Nanners for the first time this game, I do believe. Ella has put on a huge run for the Nanners now. Serve is up. Another high flying ball, this time to Malik, who gets a good touch on it. Ella has to scramble to get back in. She does so and finds a spot on the court to build up the lead for the Nanners here. The momentum has completely shifted in this game. 15-13 is the score now. Ella, just let her cook. Serve is up, another high flying ball, and it gets well recovered this time. Gavin is equal to it, sends it up to Caleb. Caleb goes far, but Porter is just too tall. Max's touch goes over to Jada, and Jada is not Porter's size and can't get that touch on it. And the Malik team managed to claw a point back there. 15-14. Let's see how the Malik team will perform under their first deficit of the night up against the Sandy Nanners squad here. Ella does well to get underneath that one, up to Caleb. Caleb goes to Max, and Max hits it over. And that point's going to fall there. I thought that was a guaranteed send over by Porter, but it was a little bit deeper on that side of the court than I first thought. And Caleb is back up to serve for the Nanners here. Looking like he's going to go for a jump serve this time. Yes, he is. That's going to fly out of bounds here. 16-15. At this stage of the game, any serve from the Nanners has to be good. They have lost a couple too many points tonight on errant serves. But regardless, they still hold a 1-point lead as we enter in the closing stage of set 1 of game 1 of potentially 2. Ella gets absolutely bodied there by Caleb, and the point will fall for the Malik team. So that collision was basically useless, unfortunately. And we are tied at 16 apiece here. They're both up, shaking off the sand, looking to be pretty alright. So play will carry on here. Serve goes over to Gavin. Gavin sends it up to Jada. Jack now with the chance goes deep with it. It gets well recovered. And then Malik sends it straight over to Gavin. Up to Jada once again. Jack with a second chance, and it's going to hit the net and fall short. And the Malik team take back the lead here after Jack's spike just doesn't find its way over the net here. AO is up to serve, sending this one to Gavin once again, seeming to be a target for the Malik squad right now here. Caleb does well to get that thing up, and Jada has a lift on that ball. Yeah, that's going to get caught as a lift 9 times out of 10 here. And it's a 2-point lead for the Malik team, who are 3 points away from victory. So the Sandy Nanners need to tighten up their defense here. Ella does well to get on that one, up to Max. A battle at the net here, and Max is going to win it, but Porter has a chance to send it over, and Jack picks out a good spot in the sand that AO just couldn't get to. And Max is up to serve with the Sandy Nanners facing a 1-point deficit here in the closing part of this game, sticking with his safe underhand approach. That had some nice movement on it, but it got well recovered. Jack sends this thing far, and it's going to find a spot in bounds. And we are tied at 18s here in game 1. Winning game 1 would be huge, because then you can still lose one set. I should be referring to these as sets and games, since there are multiple sets and games potentially to be played in this one. Caleb gets a touch on it. Ella gets another touch. Gavin has a lot of work to do to send it over, and he just simply can't get the angle on that one. And the Malik team now have the momentum in their favor here. Honestly, based on this perspective of watching the game, nobody seems to have momentum right now. Caleb gets a touch on it, but he just kind of slaps it down in a spot where none of the teammates of his could get to, and the Malik team are now 1 point away from winning set 1 here. This serve will go straight over to Caleb once again. Jack dumps it down into the sand, and it's going to find an empty patch to fall into, and Jada is up to serve, but we can hear the wind picking up here. With Jada's serves, that could be very helpful. She hits a nice floater that is quite difficult to receive, sending it over into that left-hand back corner. Set up for Porter. Porter's goes over. Gavin gets a touch to it, but it's not enough. Jack sends it over. Malik is equal to it and picks Max out. Max playing too aggressive there, and Malik's going to beat him on that far side. And the Malik squad takes set 1 of game 1 here. I should say 19-21 being the final score. A hard-fought set here between these two teams, but the loss might just sting the Sandy Nanners here. That is the first loss they've had in quite some time since the very first set, as Malik's touch is well wayward. It's still in play here, and it's not going to find its way over. Couldn't tell what happened there from outside of the camera's shot, but it was almost kept alive, I believe, by AO after Malik's touch sent that thing flying into the air, and Caleb will land the first point for the Nanners of set 2 with his serve. Sticking with the jumper, going with the wind on this side, that jump serve could find its way into the back side of the court here. Gavin does well to get down on that one. Jack sends it over, giving a free ball to Malik in the middle. Ella has to get there, and she doesn't do so, and we're tied up at 1 early on in this one here. I'm not sure who it is serving currently for Malik's team, so I can't exactly commentate using names to too many of these people here. Nice hard serve. Caleb does well to get to. Jada in the middle, and Max has to scramble to get over and does well to send it into the back right serving corner. Jada goes over to Max, and Max will send it straight over to Malik, who goes far with it. And Jack can't get that second touch on it after Ella's was low and into the sand there. And the Malik team take their first lead of set 2 here. Both teams having leads early on at 1-0 and 2-1 respectively here. Serve is up and underway, targeting that same spot just about. Ella sends this thing far, and it's gonna, that had no chance of making its way into the court of play here. Grab some water real quick now. At first glance, that serve looked like it was going to be out of bounds, but Max played it anyway. Max gets a touch on it, and it's still up, and Porter just lets that one fall down. And the Sandy Nanners take a point back with Max up to serve. Now let's see what his serves look like from this perspective, going with the wind. Into the wind? No, it's not into the wind. It's not against the wind. It's with the wind. Yeah. Malik just tries to push that thing over and finds nothing but net. Unfortunately, he is not playing basketball today, and that will tie up the game at 3 apiece. So the game, the set, they're different. Not that it really matters too much, but and Porter's gonna hit the net, and it's gonna manage to fall down. These nets were recently swapped out, and they seem to be of a much stiffer build than the last ones were. Porter's going to set this thing high up for Malik, and you can see the wind there just pushing it back. It gets sent over, and the scramble is there for it, and it's going to get sent up, and it won't go over. I'm not sure who got the touch there on that one. Jack was in the sand for it, but Max was running up towards it. I don't know whose touch that was, but it wasn't enough to send it over. Good hand, Adam. So we are tied up for a piece here early doors of this one. That's a great serve with the wind. That one's going to fall shorter than anybody on the Nanners expect. That had some nice movement on it as well. He's commentating about. This one's going to be over to Ella. Ella does well to get underneath that one. Gavin goes up to find Jack in the middle, and it's going to get hit straight back over to Caleb. Caleb goes up to Gavin. Gavin goes to Jack once again, and it's the same spot of the court that he finds. Battle at the net, and Porter's going to pull it down, but Jack is going to land the point regardless. Porter walloped the net there on that one and still managed to lose the duel at the net despite his height advantage. That is a tough one to stomach for him potentially. Serve goes up to Adam. Adam goes high with it towards that right side, and Porter with another one at the net loses it again to Gavin this time. Gavin has a chance at the net, sends it down with no block attempt from Porter. This time Porter is going to be able to spike it down. Ella was just simply not able to get to that ball. Porter hit it with enough pace for her to not really have a chance to hit that thing cleanly. As we are facing a 5-6 game in this one, a tight battle early on, as this one going to get sent straight over. And I do believe that was Malik who just sent that thing wayward here. We are tied up again as Jack gets a chance to serve for the Sandy Nanners here in this one. See if he can bring it back after his last serve, I do believe, did not make its way over the net. He switches up for an underhand approach and targeted that back corner, and the point will fall for him. A good serve, finding a spot of the court that is quite difficult to get to, especially in these windy conditions. This time he goes a bit shorter with it, finding Ayo just calmly waiting for it in the middle. It goes over to Porter. Gavin switches it up for Caleb on the far side, goes back with it. Ayo is more than equal to it. Porter has a chance now, and Caleb's going to get beat in the duel at the net there. That's not one you would expect him to win anyway. The height difference between these two is pretty large. It is a pretty large difference as the game is tied up at 7s with Porter up to serve. Let's see how that underhand one looks in this type of... Oh, he goes high with it. Typically, he goes a bit lower. As Caleb picks out a great spot in the sand to send it over, catching out whoever was in the back middle, just not ready for that ball, as Gavin gets his first chance to serve in set 2 with a Sandy Nanner lead in this one, 8-7. Serve is managed somehow, despite the wind, to pick out the shallow side of the court. Jack backtracks, gets underneath it to Caleb. Caleb finds Max and is sent over in one once again. Jack goes to Max, and Max goes straight over with it. Max now at the net, spikes it down, or kept alive here. Ayo does well to get there, and then Caleb finds he doesn't. Porter keeps it alive. The play gets calmed down here. Max with a chance, and he doesn't get to it in time. And 8-8 is the score. The Sandy Nanners thought they had a point there for sure, but Adam did well to get to that one and send it over to the opposite side of the court. And we are tied at 8 in set 2 for this one here. Serve is up. Hit over to Jack. Jack does well to get underneath it, send it up to Caleb, and they're still alive here. Almost at a point for the Nanners, but it's not done just yet. Jack gets well to underneath that one. Max sends it up, and it gets blocked by Malik, and that is a well-won point from him at the net. The duel just going in Malik's favor this time around. And there's some chirping at the net between those two going on by the looks of things. And the Malik team takes their first lead in a little bit, I assume, and they build it up once again as Jack is just not able to send it up for a teammate in this one. It's a 2-point difference early on as we're starting to approach the middle phase of this game. That serve's going to find its way out of bounds here. 9-10 now is the score in this one as Ella gets a chance to serve for the Nanners. Let's see if she can go on a run similar to the way she did in the first game. And the wind is blowing the tripod around. Lucky to not tip over there. You can see the movement. She finds a deep spot in that back corner to tie the game up at 10s here with 11 points left to go for the win for either team here. Well into the middle part of this game. That wind is brutal from the side, from the camera side at this stage of the game. Being able to just hit the ball over to the other side of the net is a difficult feat, as that one probably would have been over in any other conditions, but it just rode the line up above the net before falling down on AO's side of the court after his hit. And Max is going to win. He's going to win a pretty free ball at the net there and find a nice little patch of sand to hit it down to give Ella another chance to serve. It was Max just got to hit it just out of bounds here, akin to the way we've seen him do it a lot of times earlier on in the season. Typically he goes on the far side of the court, but this time, and we're down. Camera's down. 11s. Okay, that was a neat little shot there, getting camera picked up as Malik was serving. That was kind of nice. It's going to hit off the pole, and the point will go to the Sandy Nanners here. 12-11 will be the score. The Sandy Nanners managing to hold on to a slim little lead here. Caleb's serve is hard, but Porter does well to get to it. Adam sends it up and deep corner, and Caleb cannot recover off of a car, off of another car. And out into the parking lot we go here. 12-12 being the score in this one. As we get a momentary break from the action in this tie game in set 2 here. That toss from Max hit a rough spot of sand there. Caleb did well to get to that one, and Ella sends it up onto the other side of the court. Porter goes to Caleb. Caleb goes to Max, and Max goes to Jack, and it gets kept alive by Malik here. Max just sends it straight over on the push. Porter sends it deep into the back row, and Ella's gonna get fingertips to it to just barely get a touch. I couldn't tell if that was inbounds or out of bounds from here, but regardless, her touch made the point go to the Malik squad and give them their first lead since 10-9, I do believe. Ella sends this thing straight up and over. With the wind, anything you hit straight up will just fly to the opposite side of the court from the Sandy Nanners side of the sand in this one. As Ayo's attempt just hits into the net. He's got to warm up those arms a little bit. I can't imagine they aren't warm enough already. Max goes up towards Jack in the middle. Jack has to just get any touch on it, but it manages to find its way over the net. Porter goes over to Gavin in that far side. He does well. Send it up for Jada, and Jada loses the duel at the net to the net. And the lead is back with the Malik team here, but it has been a 1 to 2 point game for either side throughout the entirety of set 2. It has been a close one through and through. As Ayo is up to serve here. That one's I thought that was gonna hit the net, but it was a rocket over to the other side. Ella does well to get underneath it. Porter sends this one far out of bounds. Ella calmly just letting the team know that she's leaving that one alone. Nothing to worry about there. And Jada is up to serve. Her serve from this side is pretty much just as dangerous as it is on the other side. It will float and carry. Malik does well to calm it down there. And Porter has to scramble to get there. It does well. That one's inbounds. Ella plays it up to Max, and Max just goes far side with it. Malik once again gets the touch on it. Gavin sends it over. Malik sends it over. Gavin again sends it over. Malik sends it over. We're playing tennis between these two here. Jack now with a chance. He hits it. It's kept alive here, and Play seems to have slowed down here. Yeah, net was called on that one from Jack's touch here. I think that point's being replayed, actually, despite the net from Jack. Some negotiating from somebody on the Nanners managed to replay that one. Somehow, Porter's gonna send it over. Oh, he didn't. Oh, Porter okay? He's up on his feet, but I don't know if he's all right. And the point will fall for the Nanners there. I'm worried about Porter after that one. He did some goofy maneuver to get to that ball and just couldn't get on his feet after he hit it. Hit into the back row on the serve here. Malik, oh, there's some miscommunication there between Porter and Malik is just scratching his head after that one. And the Sandy Nanners somehow, I guess, managed to take a 2-point lead, 16-14 here in this one. Serve is up and over to Malik. Malik is getting a lot of balls hit his way today, and Porter is just not able to recover to that one. And it's a 3-point lead for the Nanners in the closing stage of set 2 of game 1, potentially. The Malik team would need to win one more set for there to be a second game. And Porter hits that one down into the block of Gavin, but it's just not enough from the Sandy Nanners side of the court to get the ball back over. And the Malik team get a much needed point from their POV in this one. 17-15 being the score in this one so far. She has like an almost punch serve that works really well. It gets a lot of power behind it. And on that side of the court where she's serving from, that is what you need. Jack is up to serve now, 18-15. Let's see if he brings out the cannon or if he brings out Mr. Safety here. At this stage of the game, either one could be viable. 3 points to play for. Mr. Safety, it is a nice high ball, and AO just doesn't get a good enough touch underneath it. That thing was floating for a couple seconds there into that back spot of the court. And the Sandy Nanners are now 2 points away from victory here in set 2. And these sets are best of 3, so they end when somebody wins 2 sets. Not in a row. I almost said in a row. It doesn't need to be in a row here. A nice high flying ball once again here. This time the Malik squad is equal to it. He sends it over. And then Gavin tries to switch it up far side for Caleb, and it gets left alone between Ella and Caleb. Not enough juice on that set to find him on that opposite side of the court. And Porter is up to serve now in this one. Let's see if he goes high or low with him. He goes low this time, finding Jack on that far side of the court, and it looked like there was some kind of internal debate to hit that ball or not. Regardless, the point will fall for the Malik team here, and they're starting to bring it back just a little bit. They're bringing it back, as Pitbull would say. 17-19 now. Max has to cut off Ella to get there, and Caleb sends it over. It is windy now, and that wind just coming to the aid of the Sandy Nanners there. That ball just stopped on a dime and did not make its way over the net once it got there. Gavin is up to serve with the Nanners 1 point away from taking set 2. He goes with the overhand approach, finding Malik in the middle. Caleb sends it back over. Malik hits it up. It's still in play here. Caleb wins that duel at the net. Porter digs it down. Malik flies and gets to it. Jada now sends it straight back over, and Malik is hurt. Hang on a second here, guys. There's a stoppage on play. And Malik says he's just cramping up, so fortunately it's nothing too serious here. Regardless, play will be stopped. Sandy Nanners were very close to winning it there, but Malik, on his flying attempt, managed to hurt himself. Sends it over to Jack this time. Up to Max, and Max is going to hit it into the net. Porter is equal to it. Ella's going to send it over. AO keeps it alive. Malik sends it up and high to Gavin. Gavin goes to Max, and Caleb, it's not Caleb, Max is going to block it down into Sandy Nanner net. This is a huge set of points now for both of these two teams here. Serve is up and underway into that back row. Jada does well to get underneath it. Jack sends this thing high into the back row. It's kept alive. Porter just pushes it over to Gavin. Ella gets a great set of hands on that one after Gavin's errant touch. Sent over once again. Gavin once again called into action. Max sends it over. Porter goes straight over again. This Malik team is just going over in one every single time. Porter goes high up to Malik. Malik pushes it over. Jack to Caleb. To Max here, and it gets blocked. Great touch by Malik to send it over, and it's going to be just barely in bounds. I know that was out of bounds. The Sandy Nanners take set 2, 21-18, being the final score of this one. The Sandy Nanners now have an aggregate lead of just 1 point after 42 points minimum of volleyball have been played here. Not that an aggregate score matters, but it's just interesting to point out that after the 2 games, that's just how tight it is as we head into set 3. If the Sandy Nanners win this set, they will take the whole tournament. If the Malik team takes this set, another game will be played, and the Sandy Nanners draw first blood, and Caleb gets to serve once again now in the Sandy Nanner shirt. What can he do with this one? With the wind back against their side here. He sends this thing far, and that's a great spot right along the line there. He knew with the wind he could put some extra schmeat behind it, and it would stay in. Good hands, Max. And the Sandy Nanners have a 2-0 lead to start the game. Caleb's jump serve once again, switching it up to the opposite side. Finds Porter, goes up to Jack, who hits it over. Jack once again now, and he gets blocked by Porter, but it's going to be out of bounds on his block touch. And the Sandy Nanners have a 3-0 lead early on here. Momentum is 100% on Sandy Nanner sand currently after a win in set 2 and a quick hot start here in set 3. Sending this one far. Malik has to get a... That wasn't Malik. That was AO. AO had to get a touch to it. He does, but it sent it over to... Is that Mason on the other side of the court there? I think so. The camera quality is not the greatest on that kind of distance. You can barely tell anybody's faces on the opposite side of the sand, unfortunately. As that serve from Caleb is going to hit into the net and fall short. That is a good run to start off the game, though, for the Sandy Nanners. 4-1 being the score early on as Porter is up to serve, sending this one to Gavin. Gavin goes to Jack. Jack manages to send it over. Porter hits it over in 1, and the wind is just going to push it beyond Ella's arms, and the point will fall for the Malik team here. That one was just barely in bounds. The wind certainly coming into effect here. If I had $1 for every time I've said the wind played a factor in this game, I would be a rich man. Ella's touch goes over to Max. Max just hits it straight over into at this side of the court that the Sandy Nanners are on. Just being able to hit the ball over is half the battle. It's going to get hit up over the block touch of Max. Gavin goes up to Jada. Jada goes up to Jack, and Jack just has to hit it over. Nothing spikeable there, and that one's going to hit the line and be another point for the Malik team here to make it a 1-point difference early on in this one here. Okay, there we go. I wondered when the ball was going to come back into play here. Porter is still up to serve. Gavin gets down to get up underneath it, and that one's going to fall into Sandy Nanner sand once again here. Jada's touch was hit over to Caleb, and Caleb just had to quickly react to it, but he didn't get a good enough touch on it. Sent up to Caleb. Caleb just pushes it over. He knows what's up at this point of time. Malik pushes it over to Caleb. Up to Jada. Jada goes to Jack once again. Jack spikes it down, and it's kept alive. We're still in. It gets played over, and Jada's just not tall enough to get there. Caleb thought Jada was going to get there. Jada just simply couldn't, and the Malik team takes their first lead of this game here. Or set, I should say. That one's going to fly just out of bounds. Ella doing well to let that one alone. That was a mental debate the full way through. You can see just based on her body language there. As Max is up to serve in the pink headband, his signature look in the Sandy Nanner uniform, as it is a 5-5 game early on in this set. Nice movement on that serve, and that's going to land the point for the Nanners. A good knuckleball into the wind is a tough one to recover for sure. With the quick serve, he's back at it again, the exact same thing, a nice knuckler. Porter does well to get to it, gets played up over the block. Jack goes over the net with it, barely with the wind, and Jack has a touch again, and he hits it with his head, and it goes over, but it was a double touch. I'm not sure if he hit that one hand then head or head then hand. Regardless, he hit it twice in its efforts to put it over the net, and we are tied up at 6 once again here. We're not tied at 6 once again, we're tied once again, but it's at 6, whatever. You know what I'm saying for the most part. I only know I ramble on a little bit and some gibberish, but the majority is English, I'd like to hope. As Jada is up to serve with a Sandy Nanner lead. That had some nice movement on it. I'm not sure that ball rotated once, and it managed to find a great patch of sand between those 4 Malik team players on the other side. Let's see if she can do it again. No, she goes to the other side with it. Nice variety in the serves from Jada. Gavin sends it over. Porter sends it over. Caleb, I thought he was going to send it over too. Goes up to Jack now. That's a good point from the Nanners there. That's a great combination play then from Caleb to Gavin, to Jack on that far side there. Perfectly done, or that near side from this this camera as Jada sends this thing high, flying ball into the shallow side of the net, and the point will fall for the Sandy Nanners. Once again here, Jada is cooking with gas right now. That serve of hers, it looked at first glance from the opposite side of the court like it was going to fly all the way to Porter nice and calmly, but then it just barely made its way over the net. You can hear the wind picking up once again here. Jada is just trying to wait it out, I think, but nope, never mind. She's just going straight into it, targeting the person that was down on the ground. Cheeky little play there, and Max goes up to Gavin. Gavin goes over with it. Unfortunately, it didn't land a point, but that was a good idea from Jada, and Caleb does well to just let that thing fall, and the Sandy Nanners have a 5-point lead here in what is a must-win game for the Malik squad entering into the middle phase of this game, and make that a double or nothing game now. 6-12 for the Sandy Nanners. Jada just keeps serving the ball. Take us home. Serve is up once again. A nice high flyer. AO is underneath it. Porter sends it straight over. Max goes up to Gavin. Gavin goes over with it and finds a spot of sand. 13-6. Sandy Nanners are going on an absolute run here. Jada is cooking up something delicious. Another one. This one time it has Caleb is called into action. Gavin once again sends it over. Kept alive here. It's still in and sent over. Max now goes up to Jack. Jack goes up to Gavin in the middle, and Gavin finds a good, he hit it hard, but it was out of somebody, and this time it's going to fly out of bounds. The run is done from the Sandy Nanners regardless, so that was a good batch of points that the Sandy Nanners very much so needed at this stage of the game. This side of the court they are currently playing on is a much harder one to deal with. As you can see, Gavin gets that one out of bounds once again in the same spot he hit the last one out of bounds to make it a 5-point deficit for the Malik team here. Serve goes over. I thought that was Jada's. Gavin is equal to it. Jack sets it up for Gavin. AO gets a touch down on it, but it gets kept alive. Max does well to get underneath it. Caleb goes up to Gavin. Gavin just hits it over nice and calmly. Kept alive here. Gavin once again called into action. Gavin again. This time it's going to hit into the net. He can't get the touch to send it over. He was a busy man during that little rally. And all of a sudden the Malik team is starting to put on a little bit of a run here. Gavin again is called into action in that front middle spot. And Jada gets a touch on it. Jack just has to get anything he can, but he sends it out of bounds here. That's 3 out of the last 4 points for the Malik team being won on hits out of bounds from the Sandy Nanners here. Sandy Nanners need to clean it up on their side of the sand. Goes over to Max. Gavin goes up with it. That ball moves so much on that side when it gets hit up with some height. Gavin plays a great touch on that one. This time finding a good spot in the sand for it to land in. As the Sandy Nanners have a 4-point lead. They have the correct score on the court as well. That doesn't happen too often. Jack playing a nice flying ball. The lead gets a touch on it, and the Sandy Nanners take another point here. 6 points away from victory and 5 points ahead in this one. That thing flew over from Malik. Jig on him, little fella. Hit that little jig. 15-10 now. I've said it's 15-10. I'm going to say it's 15-10 again because that is a monumental score for the Sandy Nanners to have in this one.
I forgot the score already.
They could take the tournament in the next 6 points. Jack hits a nice knuckler over. It gets well recovered. AO gets a touch on it, and Ella tips it up over Jada. Jada went to ground, and that just, she couldn't get up quick enough for to recover from Ella's touch. And Malik team takes a point back here in this one. 15-11 now. As who's up to serve over there? I can't tell. I don't know who that is. Ella sends it over. And Ella's going to win the point. 16-11. The Jeep has the nice... Just look at the Jeep for a second here. Max likes the Jeep. It might have its problems, but it's a neat little car. As Gavin is up to serve. Gavin's bringing the energy here, going for a quick serve. At least he was. Hitting this one, a nice floater. Malik is equal to it. Porter sends it down, and Caleb just can't get up for the block quick enough. He's going to get a touch on it, but it sends it down into his own net. And it's a 4-point difference now as the Malik team look to go on a bit of a run with AO at the line. And he finds a great patch of sand, splitting the difference between Jada, Jack, Caleb, and Max there despite the wind. A nice little soft touch there from him. Did well. Jada is equal to this time, though. And Caleb sends it out of bounds after Max is set for him. And we got a game all of a sudden now. It is a 2-point difference in this one. The Sandy Nanners don't want to throw it from here. Serve is up over to Jada once again. Gavin is forced back to it, up to Caleb. Caleb this time gets a good touch on it. Far up, and Jack just gets the touch. Jada might have had a much better play on the ball. Jack using his keeper abilities, and he gets a touch on it that would have probably sent it up over the crossbar if it was there, but unfortunately, that's not the sport you're playing, son. You got to get that thing over to a teammate, and the momentum is back on the Malik side, you'd have to say here. Goes up to Caleb. Max now doesn't get too much power behind it. Caleb gets a touch on it. Jack sends this thing, and he sends it down as opposed to up and over. And we are tied at 16 now. 5 points left to play for either team here, and the wind is picking up once again. Serve is going to get some distance behind it. Jada goes up to it, and Max's touch and Caleb's touch sends it back over, and the Malik team takes their first lead back in a while at this stage of the game. But that wind is ripping through the valley they're playing in currently. Jack gets a touch on it. Jada, no, that was Ella, pardon me. Up to Caleb, and Caleb wins the duel at the net. Porter gets the second one. Jack goes high with it. Porter this time lands the point. And the Malik team are starting to pull away here with AO serving and Porter in the middle. That is a great lineup for them to end the game currently, or further end game currently. The game isn't over just yet. Max sends it over into Porter. It's just too tall for him to get to. Caleb sends it over. Jack has some time to get underneath that ball. Does so for Max, and Max gets it up, and it gets over. Caleb finds, I thought was a good spot to stand. There was a person there. I couldn't see through him. Jack goes up to Max. Max sends it over. Kept alive by the Malik team. Jada now goes to Caleb. Caleb goes over with it. Just playing it safe. AL goes far side to Gavin, and Jack gets a touch on it. It's kept alive. We're still in play here, and the point will fall. Gavin got a desperation touch. Jack made a huge diving effort to keep it in play, and then Caleb with a reaction touch to send it over. And this game is still within reach for the Sandy Nanners here. Ella is up to serve here. She went on a huge run in set 1. Can she channel that energy here in set 3? It is needed. Sending it up high and over. Ella getting the court. It doesn't matter. Points won. You can stand out on the sidelines as long as you want if you're landing aces every single time you serve. 18-18. We are tied with 3 points left to play. Serve is up. I still don't know why she just stands on the back of the court there, and Gavin is not equal to the wind in that one. The wind kind of just died out there for a second. Might have been trying to play the wind a little bit too much there. 18-19 here. This time Gavin is equal to it. Caleb sends this one up. Jack just has to push it over, and he just doesn't do so. It's out of bounds, and the Malik team are 1 point away from victory in set 1. Oh, hang on. It's being called there then. Okay. I don't believe I counted wrong from where I was up here in the booth, but 18-20 is the final score here in this one. And now after 3 arduous long games, Cody looks like he is struggling in the sand there. We are going to another batch of games here. Best of 3. I'll once again run it back. This time winner takes all here. Switching cameras here as Jack gets a nice spike to win the first point for the Sandy Nanners, as Caleb is back up to serve once again. It is a much quieter POV over on this side as Caleb whiffs that serve, bring it up to 1 apiece. The wind is much louder from the GoPro than it is from my phone. This is my phone. GoPro died. Throughout the oh, and Caleb just gets caught lacking on that one. Throughout the tournament, I had 3 cameras at my disposable use. I had the GoPro 9, the GoPro 10, and my phone. I used the GoPro 9 for the first batch of games, then it died before I could use it in the finals here. I didn't think I'd have enough battery on the GoPro to use it for both games of the tournament, and I didn't. It got down to like 15% by the time this one came out, so I had to use my phone for this last batch of games now, as that point's going to fall to the Malik team here once again, and it is really quiet on this side of the sand, as AO is still up to serve for the Malik team. Ella doing well to get up to that one, and Porter sends it over. Caleb's touch is just not good enough for any teammates to get to here. 4-1. The Malik team is starting to pull away despite the fact that they are on the inferior side of the sand, as has been proven so far in these tournament games tonight, or at least the finals games. Because every single side that has won has been, as Max spikes it down into the net. The Sandy Nanners are starting off rough once again here. A bit of a problem of theirs in the tournament, at least the very first set of the tournament, the first set of the finals, and now the first set of game 2 of the finals. As Jack sends this over to Jada. Jada goes over with it. Porter with a chance now, sends it up to Caleb. Caleb does well to get a dig down, send it over to the opposite side of the court. And Porter is the guy to send it over once again. Caleb is equal to it, into the net though. And it's a 5-point deficit for the Nanners here early on. We saw from set 1 of game 1 that you just cannot go down that type of difference early on here. Porter sends it over once again. Caleb sends it straight over. Sandy Nanners got a calm play down and go back to their roots here of good 1-2-3 volleyball. Caleb goes up to Jada, and Jada goes to Max with it, but he can't spike it down. Gavin has to struggle to get there. He does send it over though. Well, Caleb gets a touch to it. Max goes into the net, but it goes over. Malik sends it up. A potential battle at the net here. Never mind, it went backwards. Gavin is equal to that one, and Max gets a good touch on it. Porter keeps it alive, sends it over. Jack sends it over, and Jada goes up to Jack once again. Jack goes to Max here, and Max finds Mason in that front row. He is a new member of the Malik squad for this game here. They brought on some fresh legs for their second game of the finals, if you will. This one's going to get sent over. Well sent over by them. This is a long point. We are still going here as Jack just doesn't have a play at the net for the block. Sends it over. Malik sends it over. That's going to be out of bounds. Several players from both sides are hitting the deck here in this one. Jack and Porter are dead down on the ground. That was a long point. I think that point of volleyball might have lasted for 1.5 minutes alone, which might not sound like a lot of time, but when you're jumping and twisting in that front row all the time, it is a lot. Porter's going to send this one over up to Caleb. Gavin's the guy to send it over for the Nanners. Hit up here. Caleb pushes it up to Jack. Jack just goes over with it. Send up for Mason. Mason goes to Porter, and Max does well to get it up to Porter once again, and he's going to land a point for the Malik team here. Every single ball just seems to be going to Porter right now. Sandy Nanners have to get that Malik team out of the rotation they're currently in, because Porter at the front row is doing a lot of damage currently. Perhaps Gavin will be a better match up at the net than Jada was before. It goes over Porter as Malik gets it, and it's going to get blocked by Jack, but he gets the block touch, but it just so happened to be put in a spot where none of his teammates could get to in time. And the Sandy Nanners are down by 6 in set 1 early on. These sets are also 2-21, so there is still potential for a lot of volleyball to be played tonight. And these teams are gassed at this point in time. Energy is at an all-time low on the court for both teams here. This one's going to get sent up over to Caleb. Goes up to Jack, up to Gavin, and Gavin goes high with it. Porter demolished the net on that one. Yeah, Caleb called it, and the Porter's net antics will finally be called for a team here. As Jada is up to serve to hopefully bring the Nanners back from their 3-9 deficit that they see themselves in currently. Serve is up, nice high ball, and Malik gets a touch on it. It gets sent up into the middle, and it's left alone. Jada gets another chance to serve. 4-2-9 here. Jada went on a huge run. I do believe this was in set 3 of game 1. Let's see if she can recreate that energy here. Targeting the back row here. AO is equal to it. Malik sends it over, and Gavin gets the block with his head, and Max just goes a little too nonchalant with that ball, and it's 4-10. It's still a 6-point game as Porter is up to serve here. So he's going to target Jada in the back row, and it's going to be in. Nanners, you guys have got to play the wind there. I know that ball is going to fly, but with the wind, it's going to find its way to stay in bounds. Somebody called Jada off of that ball. I couldn't tell who it was. Gavin goes up with that one. Up to Max, up to Ella. Ella goes high with it to the opposite side. AO is more than equal to it. Malik at the net sends it over. Jada goes up. Jack goes to Gavin, and Gavin goes to Mason. It's just back and forth right here. Max sends this one up and over. Mason goes to Malik, who sends it over. Max's touch is a little errant, but Caleb sends it up to Jack, who goes high with it to Adam. It's just hitting the ball over to the other side here. No real kill attempts from either squad at this point, as Malik's attempt gets blocked by both Jack and Gavin on that one. And it's 5-11 now. The Sandy Nanners have a lot of work to do to bring this set back here. And you can see the wind is pushing even this camera here. Nice high flying ball kept alive. Malik sends it over to Jada, up to Max, and Max sends it over. This is some slow, sluggish volleyball from these two teams. Gavin does well to send it over. Kept his toes in bounds like he was a football wide receiver there. Gavin once again has to stretch to get there and does well. A similar hit to what he had last time. Malik goes high with it up to Jada, and Jack slaps it up to Max. Max pushes it over, and that one's going to be just in bounds, I do believe. I know you can't see it from this POV on the camera here. The iPhone lens is not quite as wide as the GoPro lens is, so if I want to get up as close to the court, I miss out on getting that left-hand corner of, and you know, typically that doesn't matter, but it did on that one point, and it's 5-13. This Sandy Nanner team looks dead currently as Mason is up to serve now. For Malik, who doesn't get as strong of a kill attempt as he thought he would from that windup, who sends it over to AO, at least he tried to, goes up over to Gavin instead, who sends it over in one. Porter this time sends it up to Malik, who pushes it over. Max is all day to get under that ball, up to Ella, up to Caleb, and Caleb puts a good tip down, and it's going to be out of bounds. And it's a 9-point difference in this one, as Malik's team is just 7 points away from victory. A good, I thought that was a good serve over to Gavin, but it's going to find its way just short. And Gavin, speak of the devil, is up to serve for the Nanners here, who have no energy currently. This one's going to be short and over. Malik does well to get to it. Caleb goes up to Max, and Max hits it down. Porter is equal to that one this time. Max just goes straight over with it. Malik goes straight over with it. Jack goes up to Caleb. Caleb goes up to Max, and Max just has to tip it over, and that one's going to be played by Max. I'm not sure if that was in or out. Jack with the push over catches Porter off guard, but it's kept alive here. Ella tips it over up to Adam, who sends this one. This is, oh, I can't even commentate over this volleyball. We're still in here. This one's going to get sent over to Max, who kills it down there. As there's some net claims on the court, but I do believe that was the ball that hit the net, not Max. And that another long point goes to the Nanners here, as Gavin has to get the Nanners out of a double or nothing. 7-14 now, sending this one high and up over to Adam. Caleb has a, oh, and he sends it into the net. 7-15. Energy is so low on the court now from both teams here, as Jada's touch simply isn't good enough for her teammate. The Sandy Nanners look gassed. This was going to hit up over to Jack. Jack goes to Max. Max just goes straight over with it, and I guess energy's low on the other side of the court too, because nobody went for that ball that Max hit. And Ella, maybe she can do what she did in set 1, game 1, and bring the Nanners out of the deficit that they find themselves in, but it is a long way to go for the Nanners to dig themselves out of this hole they're currently in. Mason goes up to AO. AO goes over with it. Gavin goes up to Max. Max goes over with it. Porter is going to find a spot, but it is out of bounds here. And Ella, just maybe, Ella has another chance to serve here in this one. So potentially, serve is up and over, finding Mason, who scrambles to it in that back row. Fresh legs could be making all the difference for him right now, and Max spikes it down into the net. And the serve goes back to the Malik team here. The Nanners are not in a good place currently. The serve is up and over to Gavin. Gavin hits this one wayward for Jada to get to. And it's 9 points once again, 9-18, double or nothing right now. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. That's all I can say at this point in time if you're a Nanner fan. It looks like their best chance to win this thing, as that serve flies out of bounds, their best chance to win this thing would have been at the end of set 1 here, which they just didn't seem to do. Now I guess this is also set 1. Caleb goes for a sky ball here, trying to do anything to get some momentum back, and he sends it out of bounds. 10-19. There's no energy on that court. Porter's doing push-ups. Porter, what you doing? What you doing over there? As AO gets a chance to serve for Malik's team here. Goes over to Max. Max just goes straight over with it, trying to catch Adam out maybe. Adam does well to get over there. Jada goes up for Jack, and Jack just has to scramble to get there and manages to find a good patch of sand to put it in. And Max can go on a miracle run now, maybe. Just maybe Max can. Sandy Nanners are holding out for a hero at this point. He sends this thing up and over to Malik in the back row. The duel at the net is won by Jack. Malik pushes it over. Gavin just goes straight over with it. I don't know who that was, goes straight over with it. And Max goes, now it's up to Mason, up to Porter. Porter sends it over. Ella does well to get there. Caleb has time underneath that ball, and he sends it out of bounds. And Malik's team are 1 point away from victory in set 1 here. Let's see what she can do with the serve. Pretty sure she was the one that had like the punch serve type of thing that had a nice bit of power behind it. It's probably going to go over to, I was going to say to Ella, but no, it went over to Max instead. And it was a much shorter serve than I thought it was. Malik goes for the kill. Jada was flinching on that one, but the point will fall for the Nanners after that kill goes into the net. And Jada now, she's been on a run before tonight. Maybe she can do it again here. Sandy Nanners cannot afford to give up a single point in this one. Deep serve over to Adam. Mason scrambles over to get there, over to Porter. And it gets left alone between Gavin and Ella in the front row there. And it is 12-21 being the final score of set 1, game 2. And these two teams are very, very tired here, you can see. And at this stage of the game, if Malik's squad manages to win this next set, they will win the whole thing. If the Sandy Nanners squad wins this next set, it will go to a game, or a set 3. Dissing Cody for walking out early on his own team. Shambolic behavior. Let's see if the Sandy Nanners can mount something resembling a comeback here in this one, because they need it. They need some momentum now. They have none at the moment. Caleb is up to serve. A good serve, but AO gets to it. Malik sends this thing up and high. Jack gets a touch to send it over. Goes over Jack once again here. Up to Gavin, to Jada. Jack has a chance. He goes for the bump instead. Gavin is busy on that side. These three, that little triangle is busy. Well, good dig to keep that one in play. Jada once again goes up to Jack. Jack switches it up for Max, and Max just is not tall enough there. Max tried to go up for that ball quickly, and Jack played it just too high for him on that one. And Malik's team will take the first point of set 2 here. The Sandy Nanners had some good volleyball going, but they just couldn't land the point. Nice knuckle serve as Porter charges the net there and sends it down and over. It's kept alive by Caleb and Ella there. Up to Porter this time, and Jack just can't get a touch on that one after Max's block sends it careening into him. And it's 2-0 for Malik's team here. The Sandy Nanners need to get a point back, and quick, if they want to stay in this game here. Up to Ella, up to Jada, up to Jack now, and Jack plays it into the block of AO, but it's going to fly out of bounds there. Off the side of his arm or hand, I wasn't too sure which, and out of bounds. To give Max this first serve, and this one, that had some dippage to it, as Gavin has a chance on this one. Sent up over for Caleb, and Caleb just can't get over to it in time. And the Malik's team take back another point here with AO up to serve. You saw how lethal they were in set 2, or in game 2, set 1, and also game 1, set 3. That toss just died with the wind. When they had this formation here, they were cooking up a storm here. Serve goes over to, and Ella just can't get a good enough touch on it, and it's 1-4 now. Caleb wallops the net. 4-1. You said it best, AO. That serve was nice and short over the net. Hits the net even. Porter sends this one up to Mason, and Mason goes to Jada's side of the court. Jack and Gavin have a little a little shoulder to shoulder there, and somehow Gavin is the guy that ended up on the ground first out of those two. There is probably a 40-pound weight difference between the two, and it is all muscle on Gavin's side of things. Regardless, the point goes to the Malik's team there. I just thought I'd commentate on that real quick, because there's not much volleyball to commentate over at this stage of the game here. It is just hit the ball over, hit the ball over, hit the ball over. There is not much strategic 1, 2, 3, get a good kill volleyball going on here. Porter sets this one up for Jack, and it goes over his hands. That might have been the win. That might have just been a lack of bunnies. That might have been just having a lack of bunnies from being tired or just not being an athletic fella in the first place. This one gets sent over to Max. Max does well to move over to get to that one. Gavin has a chance, and he does find a good patch of sand to make it a double or nothing. Sandy Nanners typically tend to do that to other teams, but it has been done to them several times throughout this batch of sets and games against Malik's team. Porter with a chance now, and this one goes for the fist attempt. Ella sets this one up for Gavin, and Gavin goes over with it. Battle at the net, and Caleb's going to lose it once again to Porter. But once again, it's just not a duel you'd expect Caleb to win, as it is 7-3 in favor of Malik's team here. Serve goes up and over to Max. Max leaves that one smartly letting that one fly out of bounds. Got to play the wind there, boys. Well done by him, as Gavin gets a chance to serve. Sending this one high and over shallow into Malik. And he's going to just be the guy to push it straight over in 3 hits. Goes over to Max. Jack ends up interrupting him on that one, sending it over. Malik goes for the push, and Caleb gets a good touch on it. It's kept alive here. Mason sends it over. Gavin goes up. Ella goes up. And then Malik goes for some goofy double pump jump on that one. Max now with a chance, and it's going to be out of bounds. He overhit it that time. And he is tired. Hands on the knees there. As 8-4 is the score here, despite whatever Mason said there. Let's wait for Porter to get back in the sand here. There he goes, trudging his way in. Serve is going to be up and over. Jack is equal to it to Caleb. Caleb tries to find Max, but he doesn't get enough height on it. And Porter there was a nice little conversation that the four of them had over there as to who was going to hit that ball. Goes up for Jada. Jack has to scramble to get there. He does so, and Caleb tips it over. Well done by him. Jack has to get back to it again, and he can't get there quick enough. He went from all the way to the tables and what are they called? Cornhole boards on the other side to having to make a diving play into the sand. He just couldn't do those two things quick enough. And this next point, I wasn't even commentating over. We'll go to the Sandy Nanners here. It's a 4-point game. It's a 4-point game here. It is still close as we are entering into the middle phase of this one. Ella is up to serve. She's been on a run from that side of the court before. There might just be some copium talking, but I believe that this game is still within reach, and there we go. 6-9 now. It's a 3-point game. 3 points feels a lot closer than 4. You know what would feel a lot closer than 3? 2. Bring it home, Ella. A good serve over to Porter. Up to Malik. This time Malik just pushes it over. Gavin now. And then Max sends it straight back over. Porter is more than equal to it, having to take one small little step to get there. And Gavin is up, and Max is once again the guy here, and it's going to be out of bounds. 6-10. Max was very busy during that last point there. But the Sandy Nanners just cannot seem to keep their hits in bounds this game. Malik sends this thing short and over to Gavin. Up to Max. Max sends it over. Up to Adam. Adam sends that thing flying out of bounds here. Porter's dead again. 7-10 is the score in this one as Caleb is up to serve here. The number 1 server. Oh, I mean, maybe not statistically today, but in the rotation. I have no idea who is statistically. I haven't been keeping track for a while. Remember that back in the day? I don't know how to drink water. The time when Sandy Nanners used to keep stats, yeah, that was fun. That didn't last for too long now, did it? Nice little scramble to get there between the two in the back corners. This Porter's the guy that gets there. And Jack has to scramble to get there. He does so, sending this one up and battle at the net. And Adam's going to send that thing out of bounds here. And it is a 1-point game. I haven't even been paying too much attention to the game, but the Sandy Nanners have brought it back. Sandy Nanners have brought it back here. What can Caleb do with his serve? Goes for the jumper, sending this one over. Mason is more than equal to it. Malik pushes it over. Up to Jada, up to Max. Max sets this one over for Jack, and Jack goes down with it. It's kept alive. There was 3 people in maybe a 3 square foot space right there. Max sends this one over to Porter. Porter goes straight over with it. Gavin, Ella has to scramble to get there. She does so. Can Gavin hit it over? He does not quite send it over. That might have been wind. That might have been the fact that that was an extremely tough hit for him to land on the opposite side of the court regardless. And it's a 2-point difference in this one here with Malik's team. Up to serve now. The serve goes over to Gavin. Gavin has been busy in this one. And Jack just jumps wrong. Just simply misses where that ball was going to land. And it's 9-12 now in this one. Serve up and away once and again. Once and again. Yes, that made sense. Max goes straight over with it. That ball had some funky movement on it. And it's... Oh, Porter. Max just walloped Porter with a wall of sand after that kick attempt from him did not land. Porter just took it, though, unfazed. And it's a 4-point difference once again in this one. The game's starting to slip away after Caleb brought it back, and Gavin's touch is going to not help that cause. 9-14 here. Sandy Nanners are starting to lose it once again in set 2 of game 2. If they lose this, it is over, and it might honestly be just a sweet release here for both teams. I have to say, and Ella just leaves that one alone. 9-15. It's a 6-point. It's a 6-point game, and it's a 6-point away from victory moment for the Malik squad here. Sandy Nanners have to bring it back a long ways if they want to do anything in this game. Jack goes up for this one, and he lands it down. It's kept alive and sent out of bounds there. Malik with a good dig to keep it up, but just not enough of a touch there. Sandy Nanners needs some more offense like that. They just have not been able to get it. I don't know if that's their lack of energy or what so far, but it just hasn't happened. This one goes up for Porter, and it goes over the block of Jack, and Caleb is not able to get down quick enough to get to that one. He's not exactly the longest armed fella either. That's not his style of play right there. It's not what he does best. As AO is up to serve now. Still holding a 6-point lead over the Nanners. This one goes up to Ella. Porter in the middle plays it up over the block. Max sends this one up into the middle. Sent over by Porter once again. Goes deep with it and out of bounds. I do believe that was Max that hit that one. And we're at 10-17 here. Comeback does not look good right now for the Nanners. Max has his hands on his knees in that back row. Jack goes over with it. It went over regardless of his touch. Porter just has to backwards bump that thing over up to Jack once again. Jack tries to find Gavin, but he puts too much schmeat behind it once again. Similar to the way he set Max earlier on, he just overdoes it, and Gavin just can't jump high enough for that. Even if he did have full energy and was standing on concrete, he was not getting to that ball. 10-18 now. They're 3 points away from victory, and Caleb hits that one wayward. 10-19. I hate to say it here, but this feels like the type of thing when you're in a game 6 and the Warriors are up by, 27 points with 3 minutes left to go in the fourth, and you just gotta say it's over at a certain point. Caleb goes up, and it's left to Max. Just doesn't go for that ball. And the Nanners need to put on 10 points unanswered here. Malik's team just needs 1 point, and they will have won the tournament. Gavin manages to get that one up and over after Jack's poor set once again. Jack slaps that thing down. It's kept alive. Jack tries to set Gavin once again, and it's out of bounds. And Malik's team have won the Sandy Nanners tournament. They have won the Timbers 10-mile tournament here, as players are just hitting the ground for the Nanners. That was a hard-fought, long set of games there. This recording has been going on for an hour and 9 minutes of volleyball at this stage of the game here. The Sandy Nanners take home second place in this tournament. It was a hard-fought tournament from both sides here. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching this season. And let's hope the Sandy Nanners are back better than ever in the next one. Thank you guys for watching.